Hello and welcome back to My Life in Film, and this year it is 2005, the year I finally started returning to the cinema properly with many of my college friends and seeing a lot of these movies on this list. So without any further ado, we've got a top 15. Number 15 is Warrior King, and this was Tony Jaa's second movie to make the worldwide round. And this follows pretty much the same idea. A small town man goes against a big evil corporation who have stolen his elephant, and that's pretty much the story. He kicks absolute ass and proves that he was going to become the guy to watch in the martial arts world for years to come. 14 is Hard Candy. And this movie is a paedophile hunting movie which follows a young girl who has befriended a potential paedophile, and they're trying to do a one-upmanship through the film, and she decides that she's not going to let him win this round, and it's very twisted. And by balancing everything out, that we could actually see that he could well have been innocent, or he could well be guilty. It's a real knife edge on which side is the real psychopath here. 13 is Hitch, arguably Will Smith's last great comedy, and this one he plays a guy who basically gets hired to give men confidence to ask women out. Bit of research to get in, but they do all the work, but he cannot date. He's useless at dating himself. While this does have lots of messages about whether it is right or wrong to be doing this sort of thing, he does provide himself as being a confident person. He only picks people who are good to teach, and that's the important thing. It does work, and it plays into Will Smith's absolute charm of the era. 12 is V for Vendetta. Again, this movie is a comic book movie that enters into the dark side of everything, showing us what a dystopian world could be like if one person is in complete control until people start to fight back. And Hugo Weaving behind the mask is amazing to watch, as well as Natalie Portman as the leader of the new revolution. Number 11 is War of the Worlds. One of Spielberg's lesser remembered movies, I think that is fair to say. And again, we know this is a big play. It's a live action version of the infamous radio show. And this one does bring everything to life. I know Tom Cruise may be a lead, but this is the type of movie Tom Cruise is great in. He has to try and save his daughter when aliens appear to destroy the world. And, well, everything bar the end of the story is fantastic to watch. The visuals he's created in this movie still hold up today. So it's definitely one of the sci-fi movies not many people have seen. Some of the movies I've missed, we've got a few surprises here. Star Wars Episode 3. Well, I say I missed. I switched off after about 20 minutes and never went back. Mainly because R2-D2 started flying around fighting. It's like, what happened here? Your little dustbin that was funny. Now he's like Kung Fu and it's a prequel. Couldn't get into it. Never really returned to it. Coach Carter's on here because it's considered one of the more inspirational movies, and it's just never really come around. Pride and Prejudice because, well, we know the idea of how big this novel is. The only Pride and Prejudice I've seen is the zombie one. Yeah, a weird admission, I guess. Number 10 is Hostage. Now this is one of the Bruce Willis movies I do think doesn't get the praise it deserves. This one basically follows him as a not disgrace but a broken hostage negotiator who, after a bad incident, decides to take a more casual sheriff's job. But then when he's needed to try and stop 3 psychopaths, well, 1 psychopath and 2 criminals, he has to use all his negotiation skills to rescue the family held hostage, including his own daughter, who has been used as leverage. The one thing that really stands out in this movie is Ben Foster as the character Mars, who is a terrifying villain. He doesn't know how to switch off, and it is absolutely amazing to watch. Number 9 is Sahara. While many people do bash this movie, I enjoyed the wildness of the adventure in it with Matthew McConaughey, Steve Zahn, and Penelope Cruz. We have a cast that just have to go and find treasure. Yeah, it's a treasure hunting movie. I don't care what people say about these sort of movies. I know what I'm getting into, and I enjoy watching them. This one's on there again, another one of the cinema experiences too. Number 8 is Sin City. What a beautiful movie this one was. It's so graphically over the top, and it's one that will stick with you for years. The fact that we have mainly 3 big stories that come from different directions and have a different description of what's going on in this world. It just plays into everything you would imagine a comic book playing. Again, Bruce Willis is great, but again, it's more of the supporting casts that are all brilliant to watch in this movie because it's a hell of a good cast. Definitely one to watch, just maybe not the sequel. Number 7 is probably the least known movie on this list. It's called The School of Life, and this one stars Ryan Reynolds. Yes, not quite huge Ryan Reynolds, but one where he's getting somewhere. And this one follows a young kid whose dad is like a by-the-book teacher. And he always wins Teacher of the Year and everything. But then this new laid-back teacher, played by Reynolds, appears called Mr. D. And he's has a different teaching approach, one that engages more with the students, and everyone just worships him. And it's partly how the kid has to learn to respect his dad, but understand the other guy can do teaching differently. There's a lot of lessons in this one, but it's a very charming movie with a very, very heartbreaking story going on inside it too. Number 6 is Batman Begins. Christopher Nolan gives us what I think is the best of the Batman trilogy, and this is solely because I absolutely love the Scarecrow in this movie. The fact that we had never seen Scarecrow in a live-action movie before, he is terrifying to watch when he uses his drug and when it gets used on him, and I just wanted to see more of this character. I know he does pop up in the other movies, but let's say he's not as effective as in this one. Yes, we know the origin of Batman, but again, it dives more into the building of Bruce in a bigger idea. Definitely the one that really put this trilogy on the map. The ones I didn't like was Triple X2, it just wasn't very fun. Survival Island, or I believe it might have been called Free elsewhere, and it is awful. I'm sorry, it was absolutely awful. And The Legend of Zorro, the sequel, just didn't match the fun of the first one. That again wasn't brilliant, but was at least fun. So there's the 3 I didn't like. Number 5 is The Descent, and this one is the horror that really stood out in this decade, I want to say. And this one follows a group of women who go splunking in a new cave system and end up finding a new type of terrifying creature that lives in there and have to try and fight to survive. It's one that really does work if you get the right ending, and depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on, you'll have 2 different ones. Number 4 is Serenity. Yes, I'm one of the browncoats who love Firefly, and Serenity was a hell of a fun movie once it came out. We get to just pick up on the characters we love. We have a little twist on a certain few storylines, with River becoming a much more prominent figure in this. But again, we have some great fight scenes. We have the laughs we expect. Perfect little conclusion to the much-loved television show. Number 3 is Wedding Crashers. Wait, this is a comedy. You don't put comedies on your lists, do you? Wait, yes, this one will make the lists. I think I could watch Wedding Crashers over and over again. Watching Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn as a double act was brilliant, as they plan their weddings to crash to perfection. Not just, mainly to meet women, but they like to party. especially the Vince Vaughn character that's obsessed with certain foods. They have certain routines they do that they all understand a code, and it's just funny when they both sort of fall in love at the same time, but one more than the other, but the other one has to support with the codes they've created. So yeah, one I could watch and laugh at over and over again. Number 2 is Brick. This is a bit of a surprise, I would say. When I made the list, I would have normally put Brick at number 1, but I found one other I loved, and this is a teenage investigation movie where a loner high schooler discovers his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend has been killed, and he decides to investigate, which takes him into a weird neo-noir crime world within the high school. It really does work better if you were the younger age, and it is Rian Johnson bringing us something very special very early, which I could sit and watch, and I have watched this more than I probably should have, but it's one I really enjoy. And number 1 is Red Eye, a Wes Craven movie that doesn't get enough attention, and it follows a hotel manager who is flying home for a big client when she finds herself on the last flight with a criminal who is going to force her into arranging an assassination, or he will kill her father or her. And it's a bit of a cat and mouse type game on the plane. Like, she can't just kill the guy because his partner will then kill her father. And again, we have Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams that really carry this movie. I really recommend this movie a lot. I easily put this in Craven's best. And it's one we just don't see many people talk about when we talk about the iconic director. So, that is my list for 2005. Let me know what movies you enjoy from 2005 in the comments below. And thank you all for watching.